What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well, and welcome back to another episode of my trades. Before we get into Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto markets, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the portfolio and update you guys on the portfolio since I haven't made a video in a few days. But yeah, it's no surprise. It's no, it's pretty obvious right now that the markets are getting hammered at this point with Bitcoin and the rest of crypto. So the markets don't look really good right now. But again, we're gonna go through technical analysis and we're gonna break this apart. Um, if you've been following me for the last 2 weeks, I would, uh, the heaviest allocation that I had back on the 18th, which was about, not, I mean, like a week ago, I would say, right? I was 35% Solana, 23% Ethereum, 42% cash. So more than half the portfolio went allocated into crypto. It was right around on the 19th where I made a video and I warned people that there's a red flag. Okay. The 19th, I'll go ahead and show you guys. So I made this call back on the 19th of September, which was probably this right here, right? So we saw this huge wick that got rejected heavily off of this 2 month, 3 month resistance. And I immediately made a video saying that that was a red flag. Okay. So yeah, so on the 18th, fully allocated, right? During that day, when the day closed, and he was not able to break that trend line, I immediately went back into mostly cash. And then ever since then, the market has collapsed. Okay, the market has pretty much dipped extremely hard on Bitcoin. At that point, it's about almost an 8% loss. We can look at Solana. The same day, which was the 18th, I warned everybody, hey, that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. Ever since I made that call, Solana's down 23%. Same thing with Ethereum. Back on, it was even right here on this little doji candle right here, which was the 18th. And again, I warned everybody that this is not a good sign. Ever since then, Ethereum has been down 18%. So as far as my analysis, this is why you do technical analysis, guys, because look how much I was trimming down. Look how much I was trimming down as the markets were, crashing. And at this point, I'm still 96% cash, right? So this is all risk management. All you guys see this right here. All this right here is all risk management. So this is why it's important to know how to do technical analysis. And if you've been following me, like I said, I made that call back on the 18th of September. And ever since then, the market has been crashing extremely hard. Now, let's get into the technicals, guys. And let's really, not sugarcoat anything. So I think right now we're short term. I'm going to go ahead and say it just out of my own opinion. I could be wrong. But this looks really bearish for crypto. Now, is the bull market over? I don't think so. But I do think there's going to be a lot more pain for the next week or so before we have any type of potential bullish signal. Now, let me go ahead and explain why I think it's going to be pretty bearish, in my opinion, for the next week or so. So, all this that you guys see is just full-blown liquidations. We're seeing billions of dollars of liquidations in the last 48 hours. Billions, guys. We're talking about $3 to $4 billion worth of liquidations. That is one of the most heavily, obviously the longs are getting liquidated, but that's one of the biggest liquidations in that short period of time since the cycle has started, like 3 years ago. So these are some big liquidations, right? And we got to go ahead and really digest this chart because, like I said, short term, I am a little bearish on crypto. That's why most of my portfolio is in cash right now, waiting for more pain. Now, this is the real technical analysis that comes in. So this trend line that you guys see from June 22nd, which was this year, Bitcoin went as low as $98,000 at this time. Okay. Now, if you draw a trend line from that point all the way up until at this point right here, Bitcoin hit that trend line today. From the, what is it, the 22nd of June all the way up until now, Bitcoin hit this trend line. Okay. Now, if Bitcoin cannot hold this trend line, okay, this needs to have this right here should be the bottom. Okay, this has to be a bottom. If this is not the bottom, and if this trend line breaks, okay, this is another warning. I'm warning people right now. If this trend line breaks, okay, and we're gonna go ahead and digest this a lot further into the hourly charts, okay? So far, there's not been a significant bounce off that trend line, okay? So this trend line is at 1085. If Bitcoin breaks this trend line and it can't come back inside the trend line, I would say get ready to go below 105,000 because the next stop will be at 106, okay? Which that might not even hold, honestly. 106. And if 106 does not hold, we don't get a sharp bounce, which right now doesn't look like there's going to be a sharp bounce anytime soon. Because if we look at the RSI, Bitcoin is definitely getting hit pretty hard. So are the alts, right? Let me remove this really quick. Let me remove my EMAs. So if we look at the RSI, yes, Bitcoin is just nosediving, right? But it's not oversold yet. Nowhere near oversold. The last time it was oversold like this was back when the tariffs were dumping with the Trump tariffs back in February, March, and April. We were not oversold since what was it, the end of February. So if we come all the way down here on this RSI is at 25 down here back of the end of February. And right now we're at 36. And if we do cross this border of oversold, right? That means Bitcoin has a lot to go further down if this trend line does not hold. So the first supports I'm going to go ahead and say, let me bring up my EMAs. The first supports is going to be 106, okay? If it breaks this trend line, which honestly, looking at the hourly chart, this is not bullish. This is just a miniature little bear flag you guys see right here. This is a miniature little bear flag. Does not look good. Now, it can change, right? But it needs to reclaim at least 111 and hold 111 before we can have a continuation up and we can have, good support down here and confirm, that we're in a new, not a trend, but rather we're safe from this. But until that happens, we're a lot closer on the trend line. So this does not look bullish to me at all. I think we break the trend line in my opinion. Now that could be invalidated in the next 24 hours. But given that you don't see a significant bounce off of this humongous engulfing candle, it's not a good sign. Not a good sign for Ethereum, Solana, and the rest of the crypto market. So, like I said, the first support's gonna be 106. Then the second support's gonna probably be around 100K, right? And we'll see what happens if we get there, right? So the dip buyers right now are buying the dip right now on this, which I think is incredibly risky to be buying this right now. To be buying this right now on this trend line, I mean, Ethereum is on this trend line right now. Solana is on that trend line right now. Well, has it actually come back? Solana is the only one that has not touched this trend line yet, but Ethereum has touched this trend line, and so has Bitcoin. So, I mean, if Ethereum loses this trend line, then we can look, all the way down between here and $3,300. So, I mean, $3,500, $3,400. So, there's a lot more potential pain coming. We just have to be mindful of the technicals and the charts going forward. So, anyways, guys, like I said, 108.5 has to hold this. 105 has to hold this. 108.5 has to hold. If it doesn't hold, then expect the alts to get hammered from here. So, that's going to be it for today on today's technical analysis. By no means am I bearish for the long term, the next 3 to 6 months. I do think we're still in a bull market. Like I said, guys, $97,000. If we go below $100,000 and we go down to $97,000 and we don't get a bounce from $97,000, then pretty much all bets will be off for the rest of the bull market. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and keep you guys updated. As of right now, we're just on a trend. We're in a downtrend market right now. So the dip buyers have to be very careful because this right here can go a lot lower than people expect. All the hodlers, all the people that are like, never sell your Bitcoin. I'm just preparing you that Bitcoin can go a lot lower than you guys think. Okay. The hodlers out there, because I know like that's the whole thing. Like every time you see a 10% correction in Bitcoin, a 5% correction, it's like the arrogance from hodlers. I don't understand the arrogance from hodlers. They're like, oh, it's a buying opportunity, just keep buying. Okay, but you understand Bitcoin could potentially drop another 15% from here, even 20, maybe even 30. You never know. That's why it's very important to do daily technical analysis. So anyways, enough with a little bit of the rant. I'll go ahead and end this video now. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and I will keep you guys updated in the loop of things. Do not panic. Just go by the technicals, go by the charts, and go by your systems. See you guys in the next one. Peace.